Took the screen. Back to Boston. Mismatch against Aliyah Gray, and she buried it. Biggest lead of the night, and it's taken away by who else? Mitchell. Lexi Hall buried it to beat the buzzer. The flourish at the end of the third quarter for Indiana in a game they have to win, and they're up 15.
The referees had no chance of taking this one away. After all the anger and controversy surrounding the officiating in Game 1, the Indiana Fever came into Gainbridge Fieldhouse and put on a show. They didn't just win, they completely dominated the Atlanta Dream with a defensive performance that could only be described as a masterclass. This wasn't just another victory, it marked the Fever's first playoff win in nearly a decade, with Caitlin Clark cheering proudly from the sidelines. And with 5 key players out, this wasn't only about advancing, it was about proving that the Fever could rise above adversity and still stand tall. When Aliyah Boston finally spoke after the game, her words captured the very heartbeat and spirit of this team. Fans watching could feel it, and if you're fired up just thinking about it, drop a comment saying, "Let's go Fever." Because this is far from over. Game 3 is on the horizon. Atlanta, we're coming for you. The job isn't finished. One more game. Just one more, baby. Let's go. The fans didn't simply show up for Game 2 expecting playoff basketball. They came carrying a fire, fueled by outrage from how Game 1 ended. The controversial whistles and calls that seemed one-sided left many people convinced the deck had been stacked against Indiana. Some fans even called it outright robbery. The atmosphere wasn't just tense, it was filled with disbelief. When a team lays everything out on the floor and still feels like officials tip the balance, it can shatter focus. One moment in particular still stung. A foul called on Lexi Hull had many boiling over. Early in the game, she played what was easily her best defense of the series. Ryan Howard was driving, Hull shadowed her perfectly, and as Howard went behind her back, Hull stayed disciplined, hands straight up, backpedaling without making contact. It was textbook defense. Yet the whistle blew. Situations like that left Indiana playing not just their opponent, but the referees as well. And here's where the challenge became even more daunting. Not only did Indiana have to battle through the bitterness of Game 1, but they also had to face the reality that 5 players were sidelined. That kind of burden could have crushed most teams before the ball was even tipped. But head coach Stephanie White didn't flinch. She knew exactly what her team needed. Before the game, she made it clear that the missing ingredient in Game 1 wasn't talent or effort, it was desperation. There has to be a desperation and a sense of urgency in the way you play every possession, she explained. This wasn't just standard coach talk. It was a direct challenge to her team. She wanted a gut check. She wanted to see heart. She wanted them to play as if every single possession was their last. White went deeper, pointing out the small things that decided Game 1. She noted the lack of fight for 50-50 balls, moments when rebounds slipped through their fingers, even possessions where the ball hit the floor inside the three-point line before Indiana reacted. That, she said, couldn't happen again. In her eyes, they needed 40 minutes of relentless urgency. She was blunt, in Game 1, that mentality wasn't there. But she expected a very different response in Game 2. What followed wasn't a team shrugging off bad luck, it was a team embracing the pressure. Indiana didn't fold under the weight of expectation. Instead, they doubled down and delivered a performance so commanding that no one could question it. No matter what the referees did, the Fever took control in a way that couldn't be erased from the box score. Stephanie White pushed her players to attack downhill, to be aggressive, to test themselves against Atlanta's size. And she got exactly what she wanted. From the very first possession, the tone was set. The Fever scored first, locked in on defense, and left Atlanta scrambling before they even had a chance to settle in. The control was so absolute that Indiana never once trailed. For the first time since 2002, the Fever won a playoff game wire to wire, no ties, no lead changes, nothing but dominance from start to finish. That is how you erase controversy. That is how you silence every storyline hanging over from Game 1. You take away every window for doubt and leave nothing for officials to decide. Defense was the story of the night. Atlanta, a team that usually thrives on perimeter shooting, couldn't find any air against Indiana's suffocating pressure. In the first half, the Dream shot a brutal 1 for 10 from three-point range. And it didn't get much better. By the end of the game, they were just 5 for 19 from deep and shooting under 40% overall. Their rhythm was completely gone. Every possession looked hurried, every shot felt forced. Indiana dictated the game, and for once, the refs had no influence to lean on. The moment the final whistle blew, you could hear the pride in the locker room. That was a defensive masterclass, the coaches and players agreed. And it truly was. The Fever had been backed into a corner, their season on the line, yet they rose to the challenge. But they weren't celebrating like the job was finished. They knew there was still more to do. Our backs are against the wall every game, one voice rang out, but tonight, you showed up. Tonight, you were ready. And we aren't finished yet. The message was clear, this was only step 1. The atmosphere inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse played a massive role, too. The building was alive, electric, and roaring at every play. And even though Caitlin Clark couldn't suit up, her presence still made waves. She was on the bench, standing, clapping, cheering with her teammates, amplifying the energy inside the arena. Her spirit became a bridge between the players and the fans, fueling a night that felt like redemption. When the final buzzer sounded, the 1-1 series tie meant more than just survival. It symbolized a team taking control of their own destiny instead of watching it slip away. What made the win even more powerful was that it wasn't carried by a single superstar. It was the collective. Everyone stepped up at once. For Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hull, and Aliyah Boston, this was especially meaningful. It was their first playoff game on Indiana's home floor, a milestone that carried tremendous weight given that the Fever hadn't hosted postseason basketball since 2016. That stage brought pressure, but it also brought opportunity. And the pressure was undeniable. Indiana wasn't just short-handed, they were severely depleted. Caitlin Clark had been ruled out for the rest of the season. Sophie Cunningham was unavailable. Sydney Colson was sidelined. Chloe Bibby couldn't suit up. Ari McDonald was out as well. That's 5 players gone before tip-off, 5 important rotation pieces unavailable in the most critical game of the year. The question loomed large, who was going to step into that void? The answer came in the form of steady, relentless leadership. Kelsey Mitchell, the player who has been the backbone of this team for years, took center stage. She didn't just play well, she carried Indiana. Mitchell scored a game-high 19 points, including 4 clutch three-pointers that stretched the lead and forced Atlanta to chase all night long. Without Clark's usual gravitational pull, Mitchell had to create her own offense and draw defensive attention every single possession. And she embraced it. This was her stage, her playoff debut at home, and she made sure the crowd had a star to cheer for.